Wow. Man, in 4K, my face looks redder than ever. Here, I look tan, don't I? Do I look tan? Do I look like I use that spray tan shit? Because on YouTube, can't really see what I look like because my camera is over here. So anyway, all right. Did a little research today. For those of you who have been here before, you know that's what I do every day. I do research. All right. Let's go to one of my favorite websites and look. Wow. Okay. Netanyahu vows attacks on Israel attacks on Lebanon won't stop as Hezbollah escalates with deepest strike. So, does this end well? Does anybody think that this ends well? This Middle Eastern foreign entanglement thing? I don't think this ends well. All right, let's see. U.S. Navy oiler runs aground. Look, it ran aground. U.S. Navy oiler runs aground off Oman coast, forcing carrier strike group to scramble for fuel. Really? Really, guys? Look, I get it. The Navy is basically Uber for the United States Marine Corps. And other than that, I don't really know what purpose they serve. But running your big boat into a sandbar is bad for a couple of reasons. Number one, because you can't drive a carrier onto a sandbar, although it's been done, to get fuel. And number two, because the words sitting duck really start to seriously apply at that point. Like, you are kind of a sitting duck. Oh, Navy, Navy, Navy. You're so big, but you're so dumb. What did we see today? Goldman's trading desk details most explosive move in Chinese stocks. Well, that would be interesting considering how bad their economy is. Democrats, let's see, War in America, part 2. The economy that serves nobody except those in charge. Does that sound familiar? Does anybody think that sounds familiar? Key Ukraine stronghold about to fall to Russia as Zelensky touts a victory plan in Washington, D.C. The situation on the front line couldn't be worse for the Zelensky-Biden summit. Well, gee whiz. Did we not see that coming? I've been saying this for 2 years now, that Russia will win this, and they will. And then what? Well, then it's going to be very interesting because BlackRock and Bechtel Corporation and all of the other companies that have spent our tax dollars funding this war, hoping that somehow they can pull this off and then go back in and rebuild all the infrastructure for Ukraine and therefore own it. Well, it looks like they pissed away our tax money on nothing. But that's okay, right? Because it's not their money. It's yours. Let's see. America tried third world immigration in the 80s, and the results were horrifying. Hmm, I believe that's true. U.S. stocks eked out mild gains after reversing the initial weak consumer confidence triggered selling. Yeah, well, again, everybody's like, oh, look, they cut the rates and everything's going to be great now. That's not exactly how it's worked since 1971. Every time they cut more than 25 basis points, the shit hit the fan. Sorry, folks. That's the reality. So, what do? Let's see. Do I have anybody? Hey, I've got somebody on my live stream. I have one person on my live stream on YouTube. That is outstanding. Brandon, thank you. I've seen you on YouTube. I watch you every night on TikTok. Outstanding. You share some good SHIT. You talk about reality in the world. Yes. I try not to always make it doom and gloom because it's kind of doomy and gloomy right now. But, it's always darkest before the dawn. Unless there's no dawn. And, well, anyway, let's just not go there. Okay, it's always darkest before the dawn. Let's just stick with that for now. What else have we got going on here? Potentially the end of the West. Oh, it's only Brett Weinstein, one of the smartest people on planet Earth. Hillary Clinton's sordid history of secrecy and censorship. Yeah, denouncing disinformation sounds better than shut up, peasants. Yeah, it does. It's got more of a ring to it. Shut up, peasants could kind of piss some people off, but hey, don't spread disinformation. That's a bit rough. Let's see. Treasury's bid on dollar sinks. Dollar sinks? Gee, I wonder what happened in gold and silver today. Oh, silver was up 4.5%. Yeah, it went up, jumped up $1.50 at the open. Because, as I've been saying, the weaker the dollar, the more expensive silver gets. So if you own it, you're making money. You made 4.5% today on your money if you own silver. Call me, text me. You can even DM me. I started checking my TikTok messages because I figured out that people were actually not listening to what I said when I said text me, and they thought I meant send me a DM on this complicated back end of this crazy website. Let's see. Oh, that's interesting. Former AG Bill Barr says the Department of Justice shouldn't have released the letter of Trump assassination attempt suspect. It served no purpose other than to risk inciting further violence. I agree. That's true. Okay, gold surges to new record high on soft data slump. Stocks and bonds pump and dump. Did gold surge to another new high today? Let's check. Let's see what happened. Okay. Let's go to futures. Oh my goodness. Well, look at that. Gold is up 38.8% in 1 year. Now, if you own Vanguard funds or Fidelity funds or just about any fund, you know as well as I do, don't you lie to yourself. You're not making anywhere close to that. You might be making a third of that if you're lucky. So why are you in funds that could tank overnight? Because you haven't thought about buying silver yet. Think about it. All right, so we've got gold futures up. We've got silver futures up. We still have an asymmetrical risk on precious metals, which means it's the only place on planet Earth you can put money right now. Do I have a website? Yeah, sort of. I don't really go to it much, but it's there. It's well, you know what? Let's check because the other night I couldn't get on it. So let's go with Asset Security dot group. That's the name of it. It's not dot com, it's dot group. And entry. This site can't be reached. Wait, asset. Oh, I put Dicurity. Stupid banana fingers. Okay, hold on. Security group. Okay, now let's try that. Enter. Huh. Reload. Okay, there's something wrong with my website. I have no idea what. You can also go to HowTube, by the way, howtube.com, howtube.com, and then you can look for Asset Security Group, which is one of their channels. That's also mine. By the way, not just the channel, but howtube.com is also mine. Well, not entirely. I'm the co-founder, and I only own like 28% of the stock. 20-something percent of the stock. Anyway, could be more than 28 now. I'm glitching. I'm going to take it off of, oh, I'm not on Wi-Fi. Okay, good. Then I shouldn't be glitching. All right, so you guys, if you wanted to talk about anything specific, just jump in there and tell me. Otherwise, sit down, buckle up. God darn it, I'm glitching again. When I look over and I see me looking up, that's not right. We're going to need more China stimmies. Yep, that's true. Dr. McCullough. I'm not going to listen or wait for the government to tell me what to do. Well, Dr. McCullough would probably know better than me. Let's see. Iron ore rally is to be faded. Well, I can see why iron ore would not be something you'd want to invest in right now, because the reality is it's an industrial metal, and we're not going to have a lot of industry for the next 5 years, or depending on who gets elected, in the next 10 years. That's a fact. You know, look, I'm not political. I could care less. Bottom line is everybody in Washington is a liar, cheat, and thief. Politics is poly, meaning many, and ticks, which are blood-sucking leeches. Many blood-sucking leeches in Washington. There are 535 people that absolutely have to be fired wholesale. Just all of them have to go. And those would be the Democrats, then the Republicans in the House and the Senate, the Supreme Court, and, of course, the executive branch. But other than that, the government works perfectly. What people forget is that there's something that is very, very important about the way that the United States was set up, and we've all had our head up our butt for so long. And it's time to remember that there is an equal partnership in the United States of America between the federal government and states' rights. States all have the equal rights as the federal government. So if we don't want something to happen, it cannot happen. See how that works? So this federal government that doesn't listen to us, yes, I am finally live. I feel alive too. The federal government is basically buying off the states right now. Accomplished woman, morals, brains, compassion, standards, and morals. You said morals twice, knucklehead, but that's because you're probably a bot and you don't have the slightest idea what you just said, because you're wrong. I'll turn 18 tomorrow. Well, congratulations. That's a big deal, turning 18. That means you actually get to vote. Buy cigarettes, I think. And in some states you can drink still. I don't know. I turned 18 several years ago, so I don't. It was over 10 years ago now. I'm pretty sure. Just smothering people with some truth, and trying to have a little bit of fun doing it. Stop with your opinions and stick to facts. Yeah, you're talking to the person who said that Kamala Harris had morals, right? Absolutely. Because I can tell you for a fact, having been born and raised in California, that's not a Californian talking, because she has the lowest approval rate of any politician in history. in California. Nobody likes her. Well, hello, Lori. Yeah, 18's a big deal. Congratulations. Glad you made it. You're on your own. Well, she will win, yeah. Tell me more about IRA and silver. All right, feisty girl. I will do that. Talk about implications of ammiflagration of the North and South Poles. Oh, yeah, later. That's coming up. But first, I got to pay the bills, got to take care of business, got to talk about silver and gold. And by the way, there's a lot to talk about because today was a big day. And there's going to be a lot of big days in the very near future. For those of you who have been waiting for a dip to buy some silver, don't be a dip. Buy some silver because I don't see a dip happening. I mean, look, if it goes to 40 over the next few days and then it drops back to 38, for you, that's not a dip. You're waiting for it to go to 25. And I've actually had clients tell me that. Sorry, I don't see that happening ever again. Not in this world. So, leaving now, but all this, if Trump went to put 200% tariff on, what? Who? John Deere. John Deere's laying off a lot of people. Everybody's laying off a lot of people. Dollar stores, all of them are closing. I mean, just look around. Macy's are closing. Kmart just closed forever. They're gone. Harris is accomplished. Morals, brains. Yeah, that's definitely a bot, and I can tell because they said the same exact bullshit thing. Let's see. Do I want to follow you? No, I don't want to follow you because you don't have a name. I'm going to block you because you're an idiot. Look, turn on flag, community flagging. Yeah, turn on. Okay, I don't know what I just turned on, but I just turned on something. So anyway, the Harris idiots can go bye-bye. Look, when it comes to politics, I'm not a political guy, okay? Democrats and Republicans are all full of shit. They're all lying through their teeth. They're sending us into World War III. They're going to bankrupt our country. They already have. We just haven't gotten the tab yet. Trust me, when the check comes at the end of this meal, we won't afford dessert because this is really bad right now. We are spending more on interest on our debt than we're spending on defense. And we spend on defense 10 times more than any other country. As a matter of fact, we spend more than all 10 countries behind us spend combined. Yeah. So we spend an absolutely idiotic, absolutely moronic amount of money on defense because the defense industry has the entire federal government by the cojones, and they have a cruise missile pointed at them, basically. It's like, look, do what we say or bad things happen. You know, look, Trump didn't like us, and look what happened to him. He lost that election somehow. And he may not survive to get all the way to the election this time. All right, I got to block another user that's a bot that's saying the exact same thing. Okay, boom, there. Okay, go there. Oh my God, I got 38 new messages. All right, what news outlets do you recommend? Let's see. I definitely like Zero Hedge. Zero Hedge is a website. You can go there and read all kinds of articles, and they're usually written by people with a lot of common sense. Do I see it going past 60? Absolutely. There's no question I see it going past 60. The question is, do I see it going to 60 this year? I'm starting to say yes, because, you know, the price target for gold was 25 something for the end of the year. We're pushing 2,700 now. And remember, it was at 1,500 not very long ago. So things are getting completely out of control. Do you believe in what CNN has to offer? No, absolutely not. They are absolutely 100% controlled by BlackRock. And look, just watch any of their programs. This is what you need to do. Watch their programs and see if the commercials are spread out among all of the industries, or if they're really heavily weighted towards one. Like, you know, their Good Morning show brought to you by Pfizer. The afternoon show brought to you by Pfizer. Everything's brought to you by Pfizer. No, I don't like X. I love X. Fox, you know, Fox is the Republican arm of propaganda. Now, I think that right now, and I watched a thing about this years ago, like 5 years ago, when I was still a Democrat, by the way. I think 6 years ago, I was still a Democrat. I watched a thing about Fox, and I was shocked because I'm one of these guys who dogma is not my thing. If you're telling me that we got to do it a certain way because of some dogma, then you're probably going to have a problem with me because look, it's common sense, it's facts, it's statistics. Show me the numbers and we'll decide. Well, the numbers said 6 years ago when I was a Democrat that Fox News had the most accurate news. And I was like, what? How is that possible? And then they showed, I want to say that PBS was like number 4, CNN was like number 6. And I thought, what the hell? How is Fox News? Now, they also pointed out that Fox News and Fox Opinion were different, but they have separated it so that the news is news. And they actually report that accurately. The opinion is their opinion, and they are right-wingers, period. But they make that very clear. So that, I think, is an important distinction, because if you're going to CNN for news, you will not get it. You will not get news. You will get propaganda. If you go to ABC, look at what the moderators did. There were a huge amount of mistakes that Kamala Harris made during that were just flat out lies. And I saw it at the time, and I was like, are they going to correct her for that? We don't have anybody in a combat zone. What the fuck is she talking about? She never answered the first question, the most important one. How are you going to fix the economy? She never even answered that question. Oh, I'm going to give people a tax credit. What good is a $50,000 tax credit if there's so much fucking regulation that you can't possibly open a business and make it succeed? How do you do that? I'm lucky. I live in Arizona where shit, you can walk around with a gun strapped to your hip. I mean, we don't have a hell of a lot of laws, but I still had to jump through a bunch of hoops to start my company and go get the proper registration. And I don't even know what the fuck this form is. I showed you guys last night this form. I don't even know what it is. It's an Arizona Form 5000A, Arizona resale certificate. I need a certificate to prove I can resale? If you buy something and then you sell it, aren't you a reseller? Does Trump have a plan for the economy? Yeah, okay. This is it. I mean, this is all I know so far, but it's better than Kamala Harris with price fixing. That I can tell you. Price fixing and taxing people on money they haven't made yet. Those are the two most horrifically fucking dumb ideas that actually I thought people were spoofing me. I thought it was a joke. Like, okay, I'm not falling for this. Nobody says that. Nobody says that. I mean, Gavin Newsom said it in California like 5 years ago and almost got laughed out of office because he was like, well, we're going to start taxing people on unrealized capital gains. And people are like, don't be a douchebag, you idiot. By the way, there's a hair out of place, and that was it. Oh, my God, a true patriot. Yeah, oh, that's right. She served in the Marine Corps. Oh, no, she didn't. What did she do? She served somebody. Oh, she served Willie Brown. She served him well for many years before going with that talk show host and her other girlfriend and him, the three of them that were always seen together in public. Yeah, that was fun. Look, the bottom line is the Kamala bots are out, man. You know, I don't even want to talk about her because I know way too much about her. I saw what she did when it was like antitrust suits against big corporations. She totally bent over for them. Literally just let them slide on everything. Montel Williams, that's right. She was one of his two girlfriends. Then they all had a good time together. Yeah, morals. She's got those morals that you like. Look, I was in the Marine Corps. I'm not exactly a virgin anymore. But then again, I'm not running for president of the United States claiming to be taking the moral high ground. What the fuck? Like, don't believe the hype, okay? She's lying. Trump's lying. They are all lying. Okay, so get past the lies. What's the truth? Like, tell me what you're actually going to do. Yeah, oh, yeah. You're a saint. Yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, give me all the bullshit and how amazing you are and what a fucking, and how lucky I am to be able to vote for you and whatever. Tell me the truth. What are you going to do? Her thing was, oh, well, you know, all the world leaders said that he was just a disgrace. Okay, which ones? Well, all of them. Okay, well, which ones did you meet with as vice president? The most useless post in the entire United States government. Literally, everybody jokes about it. All of them. Oh, okay. And all of them said he was a disgrace. Yep. Okay, name one. Didn't. They said to Trump, name one. He said, okay, name one that thinks that I'm extremely important and I need to be the president again. Viktor Orban of Hungary. Ask him. Oh, well, that's refreshing. You talked shit and then you backed it up by giving us a name. Okay, cool. All right, well, that's good. Then let's call Viktor Orban and say, hey, Viktor, did you actually back up Trump? Did you say that he would be good for this country and he would actually end the Ukrainian war? Because if you said that, we need to know. And by the way, why? That's it. So simple. So who do I trust more? I don't trust either one of them personally, but as far as judgment, Trump, obviously. Look, he's been a businessman. He's been a billionaire. He knows how the whole game works. He's played the game successfully. So I trust him. What has Kamala Harris done? Well, as a prosecutor, her record is horrific. She threw young black men in jail for years for having a joint. But then when huge corporations committed all kinds of enormous amounts of corruption, nothing. Just nothing at all. Absolutely nothing. That's a shitty attorney general right there. She's been in government her entire life. What has she accomplished? So far, absolutely nothing except promises. When Trump took over and everybody was scared shitless that we were about to go to war with North Korea, what did he do? First, he called them little rocket men and said he's going to rain fire down on his entire country and erase it from the entire map. Then he went over and stepped into North Korea for the first time since before the Korean War and shook his hand. And we didn't hear a fucking peep out of him after that, did we? That is called a successful negotiation. He slapped tariffs on Chinese products because they were stealing from us. And he said, look, we will keep doing business with you, but you've got to stop stealing our technology. As soon as I know that you have, those tariffs disappear. That's what you want from your president. You want him to protect your corporations. You want him to protect you. Let's see. Remain in Mexico. Oh, that was a winner. Oh, yeah, everybody that wants can come to the border, but you can't cross it. Oh, well, we got to remain in Mexico? Well, the Mexicans aren't nice to us. The Mexican government is horrific the way they treat us. Well, then don't come here. Oh, okay, that's it. It's so simple. That's what he's done. Now, what Kamala has done? Absolutely zero. She has done absolutely zero. She said that we should understand that we have the right to have guns, but the government has the right to come into our homes and see how we're taking care of our guns. No, they don't. So the fact that she said they do terrifies me, because that's an amount of ignorance that's stunning from somebody that is in the executive branch. She's not applying to become part of the executive branch. She's the vice fucking president. She's supposed to know this by now. You can't walk into my house. You have to have a warrant. You have to have probable cause. Okay, well, how about freedom of speech? That is the most important right that we have. Did you know that she said that we have to moderate things like TikTok and we have to moderate things like Twitter? And the reason that she stated that we have to moderate, that we have to censor them, is for disinformation, because you can't just say whatever you want. Yeah, I can. Yes, I can. She said, no, you can't. And if we find that people are, we should take away that privilege. It's not a fucking privilege, Kamala. It is a God-given right, and it's the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America. Idiot. She said it was, it's what? Wait, oh, so you're going to be nice and you're going to allow me to speak freely until what? Until you don't? No, I don't think so. I don't think that's how it's going to happen. Look at these trolls. Look, I get it. She's going to be the president. I understand. There's no question. There's no question in my mind. They absolutely unequivocally cannot allow Trump to win. If he wins by 80 million votes, he loses. Do you guys get that yet? He can't win because the amount of damage he would do to the internal structure of this country would be literally catastrophic. He will literally destroy the United States as it exists today. Now, granted, 5 years from now, it will be rebuilt as what it used to be, which is a true free market economy. Capital, enterprise, all the things that made us great before will be back. We won't have 60,000 laws that have been created since 1984 by three-letter agencies like the EPA, the FDA, the ATF. These are agencies that are not allowed to make laws. It says in the Constitution, that stupid old piece of paper, that only Congress shall enact laws. So when these three-letter agencies come up with regulations, but those regulations are backed by the full weight and force of the federal government, they are in fact laws, aren't they? Break the regulation and see what happens. Those are not rules, those are laws. So, what happens when 50% of our GDP disappears? Because right now, between 40 and 50% of our GDP is an absolute, complete bullshit lie. You cannot, and no one in the world that's an economist will ever count government employees as GDP. They're debt. The taxpayers have to pay for them. How do you count that as GDP? That's insane. But literally, it's on the books as 40 to 50% of our GDP comes from government workers. What? Yeah, from their wages. But wait a minute. Where do their wages come from? Taxes. Wait a minute. So you're saying that I put money in and then you give it to them and then you count that as GDP, but that's actually tax money. Yeah. Congratulations. You figured out the biggest Ponzi scheme on earth in history, other than the Federal Reserve. So, we got some issues, folks. And I can tell you this, if Kamala Harris wins, I get rich. That's it. If Trump wins, I get rich. I know. Well, yeah, host, a little bit of comedy. Come on. If you don't have a little bit of sense of humor about this, you want to just, I can't say it on TikTok. I'll get the boo-boos for that. But the reality is this. If you don't have a sense of humor about the fact that the shit's going to hit the fan, you'll go crazy. So, okay, we know a tsunami's coming. Okay, let's just say this. We know a tsunami's coming. We know that we can't stop a tsunami. I mean, I like to think of myself as a pretty big motherfucker, but I cannot stop a tsunami. So what do you do? Well, it's coming. You can run for the hills. That's a plan. I mean, it's a good plan, actually. It's a great fucking plan. Go find high ground. Now, if you want to be a good human, you warn people as you're running towards a high ground. You scream at the top of your lungs that there's a tsunami coming, and you hope that people believe you. That's what I'm doing. If, however, you know ahead of time enough, and you know a tsunami's coming, well, start a canoe business and help people not only survive the tsunami, but make some money at the same time. Help people and make money. What helps you sleep better at night more than that? Other than maybe having the Swedish bikini team as your personal servants. I'm going to work on that too. I'm working on that. It's more of a long-term thing. But yeah, silver. I mean, that's the reality. Silver and gold. Now, gold's already made a run, and it's going to slow down, I think, maybe to about 2,700, which is Shit, we're in striking distance of that now. By the way, there was a big article that came out yesterday that said, hey, we've got a price target for 2,700 for next year. Really? Because we're at 26.86 and 70 cents. We're about $13 away, bro. Your article should have come out a couple of years ago, but that's okay. We still love anybody who says it's going up, even if they're way off on how much. Let's see, 32.35 is spot for silver. I'm curious about something. Let's see how much silver's up in the last year. Woo! It's up 38% in the last year. That's better than your mutual funds. Oh, by the way, somebody asked me a while back, orange as Trump. I know, right now I am. I got sunburned. We'll structure the USA, get rid of the globalists. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I see happening. Now, it's either going to be a short-term thing or it's going to be a long-term thing. If Trump gets in, there's actually a lot of rumors. I watched an interview with Elon Musk, and they said, are you really thinking about helping Trump make the government more efficient? And he said, yeah, it's a big job, but it's something I would be interested in. Oh, Elon Musk, really? The guy who decided he was going to build rockets and go into space, and everybody said, you can't do that. No, literally, everybody told him, no, there's two contractors that build rockets, and defense contractors they're sacred cows. You can't do that. He did it. By S&P December 26 puts. 26? Ooh, finance guy, you got some balls on you, brother. That's big. What about Soros buying 200 radio stations? Of course he's buying radio stations. You know, I mean, hell, you got to get the word out there, and CNN is dying, literally dying. There are lots and lots of people that have TikToks and YouTube channels that have a higher viewer count per day than CNN nationally. Not a joke. Look it up. Major filter. No, this is actually, look, it's me being sunburned as hell. Oh, are you talking about how rakishly good looking I am? How roguishly handsome I am? That's actually not a filter. That's God loving me a lot. Franklin halves, any good? Hell yes, Franklin halves are great, man. I love Franklin halves. You know why? They're made of silver, 91%. So when people say junk silver, there's no such thing as junk silver anymore. Look, if you've got sterling silverware, that shit's 91% silver, baby. That's real silver. That has the same silver content as a 1921 silver dollar. 91%. So exactly. Amen. Must have climbed Black Mountain. I'm looking at Black Mountain right now, although it's nighttime, so I can't really see except for the extremely wealthy people that live on it. Although I wouldn't want to live on it. Prediction on silver. I'll tell you what, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to use Chat GPT 4, the newest version. I like to think of AI as a she, because if she's going to kill me someday, it's sexier that it's a woman that did it. Don't ask me why. I broken piece of my brain there or something, but it took all of the different metrics, socioeconomic, etc., and said 65 by December. I totally agree. Yes, I did hear about the radio stations. You know, hey, that doesn't surprise me at all, even a little bit. By the way, for those of you who understand silver, that price anomaly is still there. We're still working on it. Now, as a matter of fact, let's make sure that hasn't changed. Everything went a little bonkers today. Last time we checked, it was 83.18 ounces of silver per ounce of gold. That's a price disparity that makes no sense and will not last. So if you're not crazy, you take advantage of the silver being too low. Because if you think gold is too high, you're nuts. Don't call me. price of gold or silver doesn't matter when electricity is off. Electricity won't be off forever there, big boy. And guess what? The next system we use, maybe even in the next 10 years, if the electricity doesn't go off, will be gold and silver again. Because people are starting to revalue truth, which, by the way, is a hell of a commodity. 50 to 1. No, as a matter of fact, you're going to love this. It should be 40 to 1. And let's see. Silver to gold ratio. Hit me with it, AI. Oh, there it is, AI. Oh, really? You're going to give me some runaround here? That was my mistake. Now, today, boom. I forgot a key word. Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh, don't I love that? We're at 84 to 1 right now. 84 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. California opened all their jails. Yeah, I don't buy that. Should be like 18 to 1. Well, according to the Coinage Act of 1792, Congress set it at 15 to 1. Now, it hasn't been at 15 to 1 for a while, but it's supposed to be at 15 to 1. Can you even imagine what that means? Think about it. That means that it has to go up. So if you needed 15 ounces to buy 3,000, that's $200 an ounce. Jesus, that's math so simple. Even a Pollock can do it. They're trying to transfer our consciousness to AI to make us immortal. I kind of already feel like that. Of course, that could just be arrogance. I don't know. I'm going to live to be 130. I do know that. I asked him, my buddy asked me how long I want to live. And I said 130. And he said, why 130? And I said, it seems like a good number. It's the first thing that popped into my head. And I love life. Even when it sucks, it's still better than nothing, right? So, I said, well, how long do you want to live? And he goes, till the day before my daughter goes on her first date. And I thought, this is why we're friends, because he's a lunatic too. Lunatics kind of stick together. We aren't that close yet, buddy. Okay, has to do with Ant. You know what? I'm gonna put my silly old man glasses on. 150 sounds good. 150 sounds very realistic, actually. It sounds it sounds. Look, I'm the guy who Robert Kiyosaki lives right down the street from me. Super nice guy. He's former Marine. He's one of my Marine brothers, but he gets a little nutty sometimes, and he's been saying shit like 600, and I would never say that on a live stream because it's just look, his daughter is never going to go on a date. No, unfortunately. I am outstanding. Let's see. Look at the debt clock. Oh, debt clock's always fun to watch. The smartest guy on TikTok. Thank you. God, I hope that's not true, but if it is, awesome. Robert Kiyosaki, yeah, rich dad, poor dad. He lives right down the street from me. Why isn't silver ever up there? Because it's not supposed to be yet, but it will be. It will be. Gold always goes first. That's just the way it is. Look back at the 70s. Over the course of the 70s, from the mid 70s till the end of the 70s, over 5 years, gold went up by 600%. Silver went up by 700%. It's just the way it works. Noah was over 500 when he started building the ark. I'm just going to let that one slide because that's Old Testament. Not going to go there. They have discovered the aging gene. Yes, they have. Damn straight they have. Now, look, I'm not real keen on outliving my kids. That I think might be the most difficult thing that anybody can do in the world. But I wouldn't mind if my kids lived to be 130 as well. And then I don't have to worry about that. But real quick, let's jump back to the person, whoever it was way back when, who said, talk about IRAs and silver. Little known fact, you can have an IRA where you still have possession of the silver, but you just aren't allowed to have possession of the silver. This is our government at work. Don't come at me. You're allowed to have the silver in your possession in a safe as long as the only thing in that safe is the silver in your IRA or gold in your IRA. You cannot commingle it with anything. If they find a dime in there, they will literally disallow it and hit you with penalties and fees. However, if you're willing to buy a safe and put it all in a safe that is dedicated solely to your IRA, there's nothing they can do. It's totally legal. Most people don't know this. If you wanted to own an apartment building, you can own an apartment building in your IRA. You just better not live in it, and you better never walk into it, because then you have used it. It's now for personal use. So, are you saying that I should have a podcast? Asterisk? That's a tough word to say correctly. Asterisk. I don't know, maybe it's just tough for me. I used to have a lisp when I was a kid. I talk like this all the time, like Sylvester the fucking cat. It was not fun. It taught me how to fight. What do you think about the picture of debt clock right now? How much is your house? It's this much. Oh, shit, I almost hit both walls. Let's see. Well, I mean, I look at the debt clock all the time. I haven't looked at the debt clock in probably a week, so I don't imagine it's much worse than it was. And I do know how fast it's going up. Do you for phone calls, text message? Text me first, and then I'll shoot you. I'll call you back. Yeah. Losing a kid's the worst thing possible. It's just not natural. What car do you own? Right now, I only own a Jaguar XKR, which is a little coupe that is way too small for me. I have to kind of sit like this a little bit, but I don't care because it's got an all aluminum supercharged 500 horsepower engine, and it makes me smile all the time. I may trade it in and get a new one now, but and I also have an FJR 1300, a very, very, very fast motorcycle. I'm 6'7". Yeah, that's why I don't fit in the Jaguar. And I actually thought about just swapping out the seats so I would fit in it. And then I just thought, well, what if I just got a convertible and never put the top up? I like that idea even better because they have air-conditioned seats. So it's not like you got to worry about your butt crack sweating, even when it's 110 degrees. Just buy a school bus. You know, I actually did think about buying a school bus for a while just for fun. What a hell of an advertisement deal that would be. Big private meeting. There haven't been. Okay, wait. Big private meeting. Who? Who's in the big private meeting? Do you think they're going to have another election after this big private meeting? I don't know. How much for just one pox of silver? I don't even know what that means. Do you think coin collecting is a good investment? Depends on what you're collecting, and it depends on why. And the reason I say that is because why are you bright red? You see that cactus over my shoulder? The only state that should be allowed to have neon cactus is Arizona. And I'm in Arizona. And fall has finally fallen. It's only 100 degrees today. And so the other day I was outside for an hour and a half chatting away with some friends. And then I realized, shit, my natural tones are vanilla, vanilla-er, and French vanilla, even though I'm not French. I shouldn't have been out here for an hour and a half. And I felt really bad. Ugh. Yeah, I'll bet your wife's freaking out. 6'7", 6'6" or 6'7". At this point, it doesn't matter, but I'm 6'7". So yeah, I'll just get a convertible. That way I can sit up straight in it. Let's see. We covered IRAs. Would you guys like to know how the real estate market's about to collapse? I'm just curious. Before BlackRock by next year wants to make the cars with a controller turn-off switch in them. They already have that. You didn't know that? Almost all major manufacturers have that. I'm sick of summer. Well, you know, it's beginning to wear on me a little bit. I mean, it's fall technically in Arizona, but it was 100 degrees today. Getting tired of that. Been wondering about real estate. Okay. Well, real estate is going to go down, and here's why. Oh, by the way, thank you for sharing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing, or I guess following. It just seems weird. It gives me a Jesus complex every time I refer to you guys as my followers. You're more like my partners in crime here. So sorry if that sounds weird that I call you followers, because I follow you guys just as much as you follow me. Okay, so the real estate market. We're going to have a little bit of fun here. We're going to talk about the Achilles heel that nobody wants to talk about. We can all agree that the economy sucks. We can all agree that the job market's falling apart. We can all agree that everybody's tightening their budget. Now, if we can't agree on that, let me run over some numbers. Credit card debt is at the highest that it's ever been in history. It's $1.6 trillion. Defaults on those credit cards are rising faster than ever in history. And major banks are starting to get really concerned about having to write off $1.6 trillion, which they will have to write off a lot of it. Cars, the car industry is completely failing. Jeep will be gone within a year. Guaranteed. Stellantis has decided that since they have 22s laying around and 23s and 24s, maybe coming out with 25s wasn't such a great fucking plan. That's a fact. Especially $100,000 ones. They're idiots. Stellantis must mean mentally handicapped in some other language. So the car market is failing miserably right now. Repossessions on cars are climbing faster than ever in history, and they just broke the 2010 level, which is worse than 2008. So let's just agree that the economy is failing now. The last 4 years have been an absolute cluster, fantastic time. Anyway, Tesla's stock has gone down, yes. And Teslas are not as popular because people were buying them. All the soy boys and all the girls in their fucking super tight yoga pants that don't actually do yoga were buying them because it was a signal that you were better than everybody else. And now that Elon Musk has turned out to be sort of conservative, and if nothing else, a truth seeker, well, that shit's just not popular. So, you know, the future of Tesla is up in the air. They do make good cars, but they used to make them for bad people. I was that soy boy. Well, you know, you can always get testosterone injections. And by the way, a study just came out of several thousand men nationwide. Turns out the higher your testosterone, the more likely it is that you're going to be a conservative. Not necessarily Republican, but conservative. I am not a Republican. Yeah, Tesla does need silver, shitloads of it. And if that new Samsung battery is anything like what they say it is, woo, brother, it's going to give 600-mile ranges, but it takes per car a kilo of silver. In a world where silver production has gone down over the last 2 years. It used to be slightly over 1 billion ounces per year. Now it's down to 800 million. Thank you, regulators. Regulation. They're killing the economy on purpose. Well, I don't know. We'll see. But here's the real estate thing. We can agree now that I've laid on you a little bit of factoidisms that we are in a bad economy. So the question is anybody going to buy a motorhome this year? No, not very many. Usually if you're an independent, that means you're a pissed off Republican, but you can be a pissed off Democrat. You just need to be pissed off. That's it. So if nobody's buying motorhomes, nobody's buying boats, these are all luxury items that the next 5 years, it's going to be an absolute bloodbath for all of those industries. Because yes, the rich are getting richer, but they already have all that shit and more. And they don't buy Sea-Doos. They buy yachts that have 5 or 6 Sea-Doos down in the storage compartment. Big difference. If that's the case, then we can probably reasonably expect that vacations will probably be one of the very first things to go. Or at least vacations will be downsized. You might stay home and take your kids to whatever the local theme park is. You might go sledding in the mountains near you instead of going on a big vacation to someplace in Colorado. That is what you can expect. So what exactly is going to happen to the 2.25 million Airbnb homes in the United States? You think those people are going to fight, struggle, tighten up their belt, sell all their other toys, sell everything they can to try to hold on to that rental property that's now no longer making them money? You're booked solid. Where exactly are you booked solid, Chesapeake sailor? Because if you're booked solid, you're the only one I know of. You realize, of course, Cave Creek, Arizona is one of the most popular spots for people from Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and all over, like all of New England, to come in the wintertime, because our brutal winters get down to 45 degrees at night and 80 during the day. And I can tell you for a fact, it's a bloodbath out here. Like literally, there are areas all around the country where Airbnb bookings are down by 80%. It's a fun place, man. I got to tell you, it's a lot of bikers and a lot of cowboys and saloons. And bikers and cowboys get along just fine. And so it's always a good time in this town on a Friday night. The only problem is parking, which I don't have to worry about. It's 227 paces to my favorite saloon. Let's see. Every Airbnb on the East Coast are sold out. In the wintertime, every Airbnb on the East Coast are sold out. Is sold out, by the way, proper English, but I don't imagine you're from this country. I imagine you're probably from the interwebs, the etherverse, because nobody, is that, it's not a person. There's no way anybody's that dumb. Let's see. Yeah, the problem with making them into long-term rentals is rentals are already falling in price. In some parts of Florida, rental prices are down by 30%. So if people can't afford rents and there's already a glut of rentals, then what? Well, you walk away from it. So let's just say that out of those 2.2 million homes in the United States that are Airbnb rentals, that only a few 100,000 of them go into foreclosure. That's a lot. By the way, the city of Los Angeles has 45,000 Airbnbs in it. That's going to get ugly fast. We're talking about Airbnbs being one of the linchpins to the real estate market collapsing. Well, here's the key. Real estate's going to slow down because, number one, a half-point cut does nothing. You're an idiot if you go run out and buy a house now that they've only cut 50 basis points. However, a 50 basis point cut is and always has been a sign that the Fed is panicking. That's not good. So we've got kind of double negatives here. On top of that, we have a job market that is absolutely being crushed right now. Janet Yellen came out 2 weeks ago and said that the job market is strong. The labor market is strong, is how she put it, which is an absolute straight up lie. Completely, unequivocally, it's a lie. Yes, we're in stagflation and it's about to get much, much, much worse. Yes, if you sold Airbnb in Colorado, there's still, Colorado is a very desirable place in the wintertime. People love to ski, but it's probably still not a bad idea. Okay, now I see why Chesapeake Sailor is lying through their teeth, because they're not in this world. They've been watching PMSNBC. They're Rachel Maddow's maid, because that was the dumbest thing anybody said to me this month. Like Dimitri last night was pretty ignorant, but then he got on board and said some things that weren't so dumb. This guy is just straight up all the way across the board full of crap. Unemployment is way down and wages are up. Would you like me to tell you how far wages are up? Would you like the macro picture, idiot boy? Let me give it to you. In 2000, the average income per person in the United States was $34,400, according to the St. Louis Fed website, who tracks all this. Now it's 40. It's gone up $6,000 in 24 years. You call that wages are up? At the same time, though, that wages went up by about 11 or 12%, housing went from $189,000 from the average home in the United States to now $437,000 average. So we had an increase of 300% in housing and 11% in wages. Yeah, wages are way up. Would you like to know how the Bureau of Labor Statistics counts jobs, knucklehead? Let me explain it to you. I'll use tiny, tiny words so they don't go right over your flat head. The Bureau of Labor Statistics counts any employment as a job. So if you lost your job as an engineer last year, but now you're doing a side hustle for Domino's and you're driving for Uber, we didn't lose a job. We gained a job because now you have two jobs. That's how the Bureau of Labor Statistics did it. And by the way, you must have been on whatever you're smoking a lot of the day that the Bureau of Labor Statistics came out last month and said, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you are a fuck up. I see that F you. You're a fuck up. I get it. They came out and said, oh, I'm sorry. We accidentally, give us the benefit of the doubt, folks. We accidentally overestimated how much employment was by 818,000. 818,000 jobs don't exist that you think exist, which is why you are saying something stupid like the job market's solid. Look, man, don't argue with me on what I do all day, every day. You go sail your little 12-foot dinghy around in Chesapeake Bay, okay? Stop eating the raw oysters directly out of the ocean. They're clearly full of lead. I'm done with you. You may go now. You should have heard, let's see. You should have heard the property tax scam lawsuit. Oh, by the way, the numbers are adjusted every month. Let me ask you something. When was the last time they were adjusted up? Look it up. When was the last time that they actually made a mistake and adjusted up afterwards? They said, oh my God, we said 113,000 jobs were created. We meant 155,000 jobs. Because if you're making a mistake, theoretically, you should make a mistake to the upside 50% of the time and to the downside 50% of the time. But guess what? You have to go back years to find out, coincidentally, 3.5 years, to go back and find a time when the Bureau of Labor Statistics adjusted upward. Every single report, the last one, the one for August, I believe it was, 113,000 jobs. Oops, we meant 80. Well, why'd you say 113? Oh, because if we say under 100, it signals a recession. Yeah, they adjust it down all the time. So you're telling me that's a coincidence? No, that's the game. Come out with a big headline number that you know the mass media will all push. Hey, look, this is so great. We made 113,000 jobs. Well, we thought it was going to be 125. Yeah, okay, we're a little off. It was, but it's close. It's not too bad. Not too bad. Pretty strong market. By the way, it was 80. I'm sorry, what? It was 80. That's not a strong job market. We expected 125. You're at almost half of expected job growth. Well, but we still have some job growth. One of my neighbors think me, they love me actually, because they know that if anything goes wrong in this neighborhood, all they have to do is call me and we'll make it right. Um, yeah, here's the thing. When it when you talk about job growth, I've shown all you guys, probably most of you have already seen it, the statistic that in the last 40 something months, all of the jobs that have been created in the United States of America, okay, all of them were by foreign born workers. American workers have actually lost over 1 million jobs, and foreign born workers have gained over 3 million jobs. That's the only reason we've had any job increases whatsoever. It is all foreign born workers. Now, are they illegal immigrants? Well, of course. Why wouldn't they be? Look, if you can hire somebody to work for you for less because they're illegal and nobody's going to check anymore, nobody comes by job sites and checks to see if you've got illegals on the job site. So everybody does it because they're trying to make a buck too. And guess what? They have much lower overhead. Why do they have lower overhead? I'll tell you why. Because they're living in hotels on your tax dollar. And they've got cards that let them go to the grocery store and buy New York strip steaks if they want on your tax dollar. And oh yeah, they're given cell phones on your tax dollar. So they have no overhead. So it's not like they're being abused by working for half price. They're pocketing all of it. They don't have any overhead, folks. You? Yeah. You got to pay medical insurance. You got to pay car insurance. You got to have a car to get to work. I mean, on and on and on and on. Your overhead's ridiculous. So you can't work for those wages. I'm waiting. Jason, I'm waiting for this to happen. I'm telling you right now, this will happen. And whoever does it is a genius because it will make them instantly famous and instantly wealthy. They're going to go to jail, but they will be instantly wealthy when they get out. I want somebody to go across the border after they get rid of their passport, throw away their driver's license, throw away their whole fucking wallet, go across the border and come back into the United States, get caught by Border Patrol and say, I'm a refugee in whatever language they speak best. I wish that I could, look, if I speak a little Spanish, that ain't going to help me. I'm 6'7". I have blonde hair and blue eyes. On the other hand, if let's say you spoke Russian fluently, or if you spoke, Portuguese, that'd be a great language to speak. If you spoke Portuguese fluently and you came across in San Diego and said, "Hey, I'm a refugee," and then just see what happens as an American citizen, and go look, and make a blog and go look. They're going to catch me. I'm going to go to jail for this, but I just want you guys to know that I couldn't keep up anymore. Like I couldn't keep up with the bills. I couldn't make it in the United States of America. So I ran across the border and turned around and ran back across the border and pretended to be a refugee. Now I live at the Hyatt Hotel right here in San Diego, and I get $1,600 a month, and I've got this cool food card which gives me free food. And based on this cell phone, I can call anybody I want. As a matter of fact, I'm watching TikTok right now. That would be brilliant because there's so many people in the United States who have said to me, literally in the last year, "Man, I want to be a refugee." Yeah, we all want to be refugees. I mean, I don't. I'd make too much money to be a refugee. But my point is, if you're struggling, like you're just barely making it, yeah, go across the border and come back. Is it dishonest? Is it as dishonest as the federal government right now? No. Nothing you could do is dishonest as the federal government, because unless you are willing to be dishonest up to and including the loss of life of American citizens, nothing you do can be that dishonest. Yeah, you can't get deported either. Well, I mean, unless, of course, you live in, Cincinnati. They could deport you to Cincinnati, which, by the way, if you live in a lot of states, that's where they send you for shoplifting. You got to go do 2 weeks in Cincinnati. I'll take bets that they probably won't even go to jail. Yeah, that's true. It could be true. And the host is spouting out, how's that hateful? I think it's great. Look, if somebody wants to come across the border as a refugee, and say, I don't know what it takes, what you have to say. My mom put curdled milk in my Cheerios, and I'm done. I had to get out of the country. They'd probably accept that as refugee status. I mean, hell, they don't ask anybody anything anymore. I mean, the guy who was in charge of the San Diego area just testified under oath in front of Congress that they told him to hide people from Congress and to lie to Congress. Who? Well, the people at Homeland Security. So Mayorkas told one of his senior staff to lie to Congress? Yeah. Okay, so he's been brought up on charges, right? He's going to go to prison for that, for lying to Congress. That's a felony. No, wait a minute. But Mayorkas has been doing this dance with Congress and just not answering questions for months and months and months and months, and they finally got him dead to rights. This guy's willing to testify. He already has under oath that he was told by the Department of Homeland Security to lie to Congress about the situation on the border and to hide all of the immigrants from the press so that they couldn't see how bad the detention was. That's it. It's felony. Bing, boom, done. Now, the question is, what happens if Trump gets elected? Does he go in there and go, okay, look, sorry, guys, it's nothing personal, but this was a felony, and 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 if we're ever going to have any trust in government anymore, you have to be prosecuted. Why not? I love crypto. I wouldn't buy it. Not right now. It's just, look, with all of the people, all of the security experts in cybersecurity that are saying that there will absolutely be a massive catastrophic cyber attack in the next year. Well, they said that in January. Well, we're running out of time, folks. That's huge. That's going to happen soon then. When illegals wreck cars, who is insuring them? Nobody's insuring them. And if the cars are stolen, then that makes it even worse. Everybody loses. Why aren't we doing anything about this government? Because we're not hungry enough yet. Because people like me are few and far between. I'm crazy. You don't want to piss me off. But there's not a lot of people like me. I fight. I love to fight. Any good fight. All good fights. I'm in. I got nothing better to do with my life. Look, the reason that I sleep so well and the reason I'm so cocky is because I know I matter. There are dozens of people who would not be alive today if it weren't for me and my efforts. Whether it's jumping in my car and driving to New Orleans after Katrina, because the Red Cross told me that I had to go through a public, what the fuck did they call it? It had to do with talking to the TV fucking idiots. What was it called? Shit. Anyway, you have to go through this training course that teaches you how to talk to the press. And I was like, look, there are people that are literally dying right now. They're drowning in their own homes. They're hiding in their attic. They're up to their knees, maybe their chest in water. They're going to be dead in 3 or 4 days. And you're telling me I have to go through this training course before I can go to Katrina? And they said, yeah. And I said, I was a master combat swimmer in the United States Marine Corps. Like, I'm bulletproof and you can't drown me. That's just the way it is. And they said, we're sorry, you public relations. You have to go through the public relations course. And I said, all right, you know what? I'll fucking see you there. That was it. I got off the phone, got in my company van actually, and drove there. Stopped on the way. I had $2,500 in my business account. I spent it all at the Walmart in Katy, Texas, to buy hydrogen peroxide, diapers, baby formula, and Ensure, and a bunch of protein bars. And I said to the manager, is there anything you can do to help me? Because this is all the money I've got. And, if you could give me a discount. And she said, absolutely. Hell yes, I can give you a discount. And I said, what do you got? And she said, I'll give you 20% off everything you buy right now. If you're going to help them, I'm helping you. And I thought, all right, I guess I'm not going to talk shit about Walmart anymore. And that was it. I loaded up my van. I drove as far as I could, talked my way through 2 roadblocks. That was fun. that was some crazy shit right there, because when you go, I decided instead of going up the 10 and across, because I knew that the 10 was blocked off, that they closed the 10 freeway. So I thought, okay, I'll go down and around and come up into New Orleans and cross over the Huey P. Long Bridge and sneak into town, because obviously those roads aren't going to be closed. I'm an idiot. Of course they're closed. All the roads going into New Orleans were closed. So I get to this town, and quite frankly, I didn't even know it was a town because there were no lights. And like, it's a sliver of a moon, so it's pitch black. The only thing you could see is what's in your headlights, nothing else. But I see a roadblock up ahead, and I was like, oh, shit, roadblock. I get there, and the guy says, can I help you? And I said, yeah, I've got a van full of supplies. I'm going to go into New Orleans and see if I can help out. He goes, no, I'm sorry. You can't do that. And I said, yeah, I'm going to do that. And he stepped back, Smokey the Bear hat on, the state trooper hat. He steps back and he goes, excuse me? And I said, look, man, I've been driving for 26 hours. I've had enough Ritalin to kill a fucking horse. I'm driving into New Orleans, and I'm going to save people's lives. I was a combat swimmer in the Marine Corps. That's the guy you want right now in that city. And he goes, okay, hold on, slow down, man, because I was pissed. He goes, slow down, man. You got to talk to the captain. And I said, okay, can you get him over here? And he said, well, he's in the headquarters. Let me get him on the radio. And he calls him on the radio. He goes, okay, listen, go back to the first street, turn, go down, and you'll see the light. It's probably the only light on. Sure enough, there was a trailer with a light on. So I get there and I knock on the door. The guy walks out. He's 2 inches taller than I am. He's a big motherfucker. He's probably 6'9", 6'10". He walks out and he goes, you want past my roadblock, huh? Why is that? And I told him, explained, I pointed to my van. I said, look, you see all that shit in the back? I just spent basically my life savings on that shit. Let me take it to New Orleans. Let me help. And he said, well, you realize that it's going to be extremely dangerous. There's a lot of looting, a lot of bad shit going on there. And I said, I know, man, I'm the right guy for that job. And he goes, yeah, you sure seem to be. All right, well, okay, I'll tell him to clear the roadblock for you. But I got to tell you, there's another roadblock before you get there. And I said, can you call him? He goes, not my jurisdiction. You're on your own with that guy. And I said, okay. So I go back and they're like, all right, man, good luck. And I said, yeah, I'm glad I didn't have to drive around into whatever's out there. And they said, oh, if you'd driven off the road, you'd probably be dead by now. It's all swamp on both sides of the highway. And I was like, what? They said, yeah, it used to be forest, but all the trees are knocked down. It's just all swamp now. And I said, oh, well, I'm glad you guys moved that stuff. So I took off driving. I get probably 10 miles outside of New Orleans. And I swear to God, this guy's face looked like it was chiseled out of granite. He was probably 65. And even back then, doing MMA every day, I wouldn't have tangled with this fucker. He was mean looking. He had the Smokey the Bear hat on, and he holds his hand up and he walks up to me and he says, where are you going, son? Well, I decided this time I'm not going to fuck around with going and talking to his superiors and all that. I'm just going to bullshit. I'm just going to just lay out some bullshit. So I said, oh, I've got the supplies. I'm supposed to be taking them over the HP bridge. I got to drop them off of the other side. What's the drop-off point? He didn't even blink. He just looked at me. He goes, you want to try again? I said, yeah, that did not work. And he goes, no, it didn't. I said, okay, here's the deal. I've got this van. I explained everything. I explained to him why I'm insane enough that I really want to do this. And he said, how'd you get past the last roadblock? And I said, because those guys were cool. I talked to their supervisor. I told him what was going on. He goes, all right, here's the deal. I'm going to let you go in, but don't go over the Huey P. Long Bridge under any circumstances. Do not go over that bridge. Drop your stuff off at the bottom of the bridge. People will find it tomorrow. People are obviously going to be out looking for supplies. They're going to see your supplies laying there. And then you get your ass back here and you get back out of here. I said, fair enough. I think he knew I was lying. I sure as fuck knew I was lying. And I said, okay, yes, sir. By the way, I'll put this video up on YouTube of me when I got to the Huey P. Long Bridge. I thought, okay, I'm at the Huey P. Long Bridge. Am I going to stop? No. I am a hero. And what do heroes do? they hero-wise shit. So I'm going over this bridge. I'm going to get into New Orleans. And by God, tomorrow I'm going to be the mayor of this city. No, I didn't think that. I just thought, there's people out here who need my help. And I was excited. Like, I'm a little nervous. I'm a little worried, but at the same time, I'm excited as shit that I get to put like all of these years of practice of survival and being a tough guy and doing all this shit and being able to survive anything. I get to put it into use to help people who need help. And by the way, I should mention this. The reason that I immediately decided to go to New Orleans was because I was sitting at my desk, the radio's on, I'm listening to the horror stories, and I'm like, damn, that sucks, man. And then they have this guy, they interview this guy, and he's an old black man. Sounded like he was probably in his 70s or 80s. And they say, so, can you tell us what happened? And he said, yeah, I was with a beautiful, like, cool Southern drawl. He sounded like he should have been like a jazz musician or something. It was very cool. And he said, yeah, I was there in the living room with my wife and my grandkids were on the other side of the house. And then all of a sudden the wall just gave way. And my wife, she fell and she started to fall out of the house into the water. And I grabbed her and I was holding on to her hand. And, but I'm an old man. I just didn't have the strength. And as she was slipping out of my hands, she just said, this is tough. She said, please take care of our grandkids. And she was gone. Man, I was sitting at my desk and I thought, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Like, this guy just lost his fucking wife of God only knows how many years. And I'm sitting here in an air-conditioned office in fucking Tempe, Arizona. Not on my watch. No fucking way. Not on my watch. So that's when I jumped in the truck and left. And it's interesting because when I got in, as I was going over the Huey P. Long Bridge, I was listening to the story about how a barge had broken loose. I want to say in Tallahassee, and taken out the bridge. And I was like, oh shit. What if he said, don't go over the Huey P. Long Bridge because it's 100-year-old iron bridge? And fuck, what if one of the barges or something, do they have barges? Like, do they have barges on them? Of course they have barges on the Mississippi River. Oh shit. What if this bridge is like ready to collapse and I'm the fucking idiot that's on it in the middle of the night? And I thought, well, I better say something on video. So I turned my video camera around on my dashboard and said, hey, if you find this at the bottom of the Mississippi, I wasn't trying to commit suicide or anything crazy like that. I'm just a fucking idiot. And I went over the Huey P. Long Bridge after they told me not to. And then I turned the video camera off, and all of a sudden in my rearview mirror, I can see literally behind me, way back down near the bottom of the bridge, I could see red and blue flashing lights. And I was like, oh shit. This guy's, he must have been doing 80, 90 miles an hour, and he's coming up behind me. And I was like, now I feel like a real asshole because it's like, fuck, getting yourself killed trying to play hero boy is stupid. Getting a fucking policeman killed because he's trying to get you off a failing bridge and you both go into the drink together. Shit. And now I'm thinking, God damn, this is not going the way I planned at all. So I start to slow down. I slow down to about 5 miles an hour thinking he's going to stop behind me. He just goes whizzing by over the bridge, just flies by me over the bridge. And I was like, well, he would know if the bridge is out. So if he's hauling ass, I'm hauling ass too. And I got to the other side of the bridge. I realized when I pulled in that all they talked about on the news was how everybody was looting. Everybody was killing everybody. It was just the most dangerous place on earth. Made Baghdad look like fucking, Disneyland. And so I get there and I realize as I pull off the Huey P. Long Bridge, there isn't a single light in the city. Not one, no lights whatsoever, except, by the way, the railroad crossing behind me is going ding, 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 ding. And the red lights are going off. And I was like, okay, I'm in a white van. I'm a white guy in a white van with my headlights on. Like, I'm the only thing that you can see for 5 miles in any direction. I'm going to get fucking mugged. I'm going to get shot. Like, It's not even like I can defend myself. Somebody's going to shoot me from 100 yards away and I won't even see it coming. Oh, this is bad. So I pulled into the very first parking lot. And for those of you who know New Orleans, you'll know this is true. I pulled into the parking lot and it was the power company. And I thought, well, now that's ironic because all of their vans were sitting there. Keep in mind, they hadn't even started trying to fix shit. The levees had just broken. All hell had broken loose. They were trying to get people out. That's all they were going to do was try to get people out. So all the vans were sitting there and they were all white. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to park my white van halfway down this row, right in the middle of all the other white vans, shut my lights off, and then I'm going to try to get some sleep. So I got about 4 hours sleep. When I pulled out onto the street the next day, I had never seen anything like it in my life. All of the telephone poles were laying on their side all the way as far as I could see down the street. And I thought, oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be. Like, this is going to be even worse. So drove into town. First guy that I came across, he was sitting, it's weird. He was sitting on the side of the road, and the road that it was an intersection, and part of the intersection went straight into the water. I was driving down the road that didn't go underwater for a couple more blocks, but the where he was sitting was just off to the side. And I pulled over. He was a very old man, and I said to him, "Excuse me, can I help you?" And he said, "Oh yeah, Richie's his name. I've got a letter from him. He sent me a letter afterwards. Coolest letter ever." He said, "Yeah, I accidentally drove my car into the water." And I looked, 15 feet away is where the road goes underwater. And I said, "You drove your car into the water here?" And he said, "Yeah, it was real early in the morning and the sun was reflecting. And I guess I just didn't realize it was water. I hit it going about 45 miles an hour." And I said, "Are you okay?" And he goes, Yeah, I was going to go see my brother. He's in a mental home. And he told me last night before the phones went down, he called me and I didn't answer. He left a message on my answering machine. And he said, 'Hey, don't worry about me, bro. They took everybody else out of the shelter and I hid. So they didn't get me, but that's okay. Cause I'm just going to kill myself.'" And I said, "Wait, that's what your brother, that he left you that message last night?" And he goes, "Yeah." And so this morning I got up first thing and I didn't even have any coffee. I heard the message and I just jumped in my car and I came over the bridge and I guess I didn't see the water. Water is possible. I bought a bunch of gallons of water too. I gave him a gallon of water and I said, "You stay here in the shade and drink this water. I'm going to be back." And he goes, "Are you really coming back though?" And I said, "Absolutely." And he goes, Are you sure?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm sure. I'll be back. I'll be back. Give me half an hour. I just need to scout out some stuff around here." I go 3 blocks down. There's a bunch of people out in the street wandering around. I was like, "What the fuck are they doing?" They're just wandering in the street. And it was in the, I guess, part of the lower Ninth Ward, the part that wasn't submerged. And I thought, why are they doing this? And I pulled up closer. And as I got closer to them, I realized these were all a bunch of retired old black people out in the street picking up trash. They were cleaning up after the hurricane. They had no idea what had happened. They had no idea how bad it was, like none. They weren't trying to evacuate because they figured, okay, hurricane's over. It was bad, but it's not that bad. And because they were all retired, none of them had cars. They were all poor and they didn't have cars and they didn't have radios and they didn't have TVs. They had no electricity. So none of them knew to not worry about picking up their neighborhood. So they were out cleaning up the neighborhood. And I explained to them, "Look, do you realize how bad things are?" And they were like, "No, everything's, we have hurricanes here all the time." And they always tell us to evacuate. We never do anymore. And I was like, "Okay, this is different, guys." And they were like, "Oh, okay, well then, we'll figure it out. Well," and one of the guys was like, "Well, I'll go tell everybody in the apartment building." And I said, "Yeah, please do, because you need to figure out a way out of town." Well, I went back and picked up Richie after that, drove him to his house, dropped him off, and came back. And this was funny. This was something that I'm really, it cracks me up even to this day. Do I have, I always keep my vest in my office. I just don't know where I put it. I have a lifeguard, a Coast Guard survival vest that the Coast Guard guys wear, and it was given to me in honor of my work as a quote Coast Guard that day. I don't make fun of coasties anymore, by the way. The reason is I drove around. I was pretty much lost. I had no idea where the hell I was, and cell signal was spotty at best. So I get to this one point where it's an overpass, and it goes down and just drops straight into the water. And as far as you can see, miles, because it's flat as a pancake there, as far as you can see, it's just water. The streets are completely underwater. Houses are underwater, the whole 9 yards. And as I pull up, this policeman, and it's funny because he was an older guy. He was like probably, I guess, maybe in his 60s. And, you know, super, super nice guy, big black dude. And he came over to me and he goes, "Can I help you with something?" And I said, "Yeah, I just want to go park down there. And I'm going to see how, you know, what I can do about getting out there and helping with, you know, evacuating people." And he said, "Well, I'm sorry, man. I can't let you go down there. That's orders." And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, it's just too dangerous. The area's too dangerous." I gave him the whole combat swimmer spiel, and he was like, "You know, I totally appreciate it. If it were up to me, I would let you go down there, but it's orders. You know how it is." And I said, "Yeah, I understand." And I thought, all right, I'll just go find some other place where there's not a cop standing there. And then this Suburban pulls up, sunroof's open, guys sticking out of the sunroof with a big, expensive, you know, three microchip camera, obviously a news crew, and they slow down, but they're pulling forward. And the cop says, "Stop right there." They stop, and the guy says, No, we're news." And they start to pull forward, and he goes, "Stop right there." And the guy goes, No, we're German. We're with the news." He goes, Go ahead. And the cop puts his hand on his gun, and he says, "Stop that fucking truck right now." And they were like, okay. And he goes, "Get your asses out of here." And they put it in reverse and backed up. And he looked at me, and I said, "Well, I guess some people came here to help, and some people came here to make money on it." And he goes, "You're right. Go ahead." And he let me go. So I pulled down to the end of this ramp, just about where maybe 50 meters from where the water starts. There's three guys. They're in full combat gear, and they're Coast Guard. They got their fucking Kevlar helmets on. They got their flak jackets on. I mean, they got everything. They're all geared up. They got guns. And I was like, "What are you guys doing here?" And they said, "Well, we left our base. We came down to see if we could help." And I said, "Okay, well, you know, I'd like to help too. Let's get a boat." And they said, "Well, you know, under the something act," this fucking warrant officer rattles off this thing, "You know, under the such and such act of 1812 or whatever, we're not allowed to commandeer a vessel unless blah, blah, blah. We've got the permission of the owner." And I said, "You're kidding." He goes, "No, it's a big offense. It doesn't sound like much, but if you're Coast Guard, you understand." And I said, "Well, I was never a coastie, so I don't know what the hell you just said." 22 years, outstanding. So get this. I said to him, "Well, that's my boat right there." And I pointed to this bitch and huge ass, like 20 something foot. It's in the video, 20 something foot, like 28 foot, center console fishing boat. So the console's in the middle. You can walk around on either side. It's not a pleasure boat. It is for fishing. And it had a huge ass, like 300 horsepower Yamaha on the back. And I said, "Well, that's my boat right there." They look past me and they look at my license plate, which says Arizona. And he goes, "That's your boat, huh?" And I said, "Yes, that's my boat. And I'm giving you permission to use my boat." You see where I'm going with that, Coastie? And he goes, You say that's your boat." And I said, "Yes. Now here's the problem. I don't know where the keys are because I left it at the the shop." Now I didn't realize these three Coast Guard dudes, they're from the lower Ninth Ward. They lived in that neighborhood. One of them's house was half a block down underwater right in front of us. I didn't know that. So I figured if I just said boat shop, I mean, shit, how many boat shops are in fucking New Orleans, right? So I said, "Yeah, I left it at the boat shop before I went back to my other house in Arizona. And they all started laughing. They were like, all right, man, that's cool. Whatever. Look, as long as we've got your permission and you swear that that's your boat. And I was like, that's my boat, but we don't have the keys. And he goes, well, actually, we looked and the keys are in it. And I said, that's right. I forgot. I left the keys in my boat. And he goes, thank you. And I said, where are you going? I'm going with you. And he goes, oh, no. You're a civilian. You can't go with me. And I said, really? Okay. How are you going to save people? And he says, what do you mean? And I said, I was a master combat swimmer in the Marine Corps, number one. And number two, you're going to shoot them out? And he goes, what do you mean? And I said, well, you've all got automatic weapons. How the fuck are you going to get somebody out of their attic? You're going to shoot through their roof and rescue them that way? And he said, yes, we didn't think about that. And I said, well, I did. I have 3 axes in my van, and you can't touch them unless I get to go with you. And he goes, he looks at the other guys. He's like, all right, you can go with us. I said, all right, good. Let me grab my axes, and we'll jump in my boat, and we're going to go. And that was it. We took off. There was one point where I stepped out of the boat, and we passed a fire station that was underwater. And we passed the fire station, and it was right where the levee went up, right next to this police station. And we stopped at the levee because, it's a big boat. We couldn't just lift it over. And I spotted some kayaks and shit. And I was like, hey, let's tow those along with us just in case we get overloaded. And they said, yeah, good idea. And I was walking, and then all of a sudden I took the next step and just underwater. Now, that doesn't sound like a big deal. You're underwater. Hey, guess what? You're a fucking swimmer. Swim. The water had this sheen on the top of it. Yeah, that was actually gasoline that had floated up from the gas stations that were below the level of the lake. On top of that, the sewers had backed up, so it was all just raw sewage in the water along with the gasoline. So I don't know if any of you have ever had, like, you know how some people have a smoothie and they'll put like wheatgrass, and have you ever put gasoline and dog shit in the same blender? Don't, because I can tell you it's not good. It's not good. But luckily, I was smart enough that I brought a few bottles of hydrogen peroxide. I figured, look, if we accidentally pull somebody out of one of these holes that we've cut and we rip their skin open somewhere, the disease in the city is going to be insane. I better bring a couple of these bottles. They were just normal sized bottles of hydrogen peroxide. So I literally, when I went under, kept my mouth shut, climbed back into the boat and sprayed myself in the face with it, and then put it in my mouth, washed my mouth out and spit, which is probably the only reason I'm still alive today. But there was one point where we were right next to a gas station, between a gas station and a grocery store. And the water was just completely covered with gasoline. And all of a sudden, I see a Blackhawk right above our heads. And I realize there are people on top of the gas station. There are people up on the roof waving to the Blackhawk. And so the Blackhawk's getting closer and closer and closer to the rooftop. And all of a sudden, I said, hey, guys, do I remember this correctly? Because I was just a grunt. But with those rotor blades going that fast, is there a good chance that we're going to get some static electricity, like a big shock somewhere in the next minute or two between like maybe the helo and something? And they were like, oh, shit, we got to get out of here. And we took off. Luckily, we didn't have any reason to be sitting there, so we just took off. But it was interesting. It was an interesting experience. And here's the upshot of it, really, because, yes, I saved some people's lives, and yes, I saved some dogs too. I actually brought one back to Arizona with me because he was a puppy. I found him on one of the levee. I found him on one of the levees. I put him in the boat. After that, when I jumped out of the boat, he jumped out of the boat. When I jumped back in the boat, he jumped back in the boat. He never got more than a foot away from me. And everybody, like the Coastie guys, were like, dude, you got a new dog. And I was like, I can't have a new dog. I got a 15-year-old German Shepherd at home. She's not going to want a puppy. And they said, well, you got to figure something out because that dog's obviously your dog now. And he was scrawny. I obviously hadn't eaten in days. And I was like, fuck it. I'll take him back to Arizona. I'm sure I can find him a home. As it turns out, I got the news, Channel 12, to come out and do a news story, which is on my YouTube channel, about the dog. And I told him, look, you just have to understand something. This dog is special. His name's Hurley, the hurricane dog. He's special. And because he's special, I can only give him away to somebody with a very big truck. Dogs love trucks. We all know that. It's just genetic. Dogs love trucks. So he's got to go to a good home. A guy called me the next day and he said, this is the name of my company. I looked it up and I was like, damn, it's a big construction company. And he said, I have an F350 and it's a King Ranch edition. And I said, yeah, you know what? That's good enough for Hurley. And that was it. So I gave the dog away to a good home. Afterwards, it was interesting because I didn't feel like I was better than everybody else because I did something about the hurricane. I didn't feel like that at all. That wasn't the emotion that I had. It was just that I knew that at least to those people, I mattered. Like I mattered to them, without me, maybe they would have found a way off that levee in the middle of nowhere. They were out in the middle of the lower Ninth Ward. Maybe they would have gotten out of their attic. Maybe they would have found their way off their rooftop. Who knows? It's possible. But I did what I could to help. And that made me feel like I was, like I mattered. And that's all it really, that's all that matters. People who talk about, not having a purpose in life, it could be because you don't have a purpose. If you don't feel like you're worth anything, it could be because at this point you're worthless. I know that sounds terrible, but the reason I say it that way is because you can improve your worth instantly. No matter how bad your situation is, there's somebody in a worse situation that you can offer help to. And even if it's something like, with my daughter, this was a great teachable moment. I got back when she heard that, my daughter was 8 years old, almost 9. Let's see, 2006. Oh, okay. So she was almost 12 years old. And she heard me talking to the reporter about the fact that there were cats and dogs, roaming everywhere. And it was sucked because you knew that they were probably not going to do well. And when the reporter left, she was sitting on the stairs in our house and she was crying. And I said, what's the matter? And she said, well, I just feel so bad for all those cats and dogs. And I said, well, we should do something. And she said, what can I do? I'm just a little girl. Oh, that's the wrong thing to say to me. I said, really? Just a little girl, huh? Well, how about this? Your birthday party's on Saturday. And she said, yeah. And I said, which would you rather do? We can go to the pool. We can play in the pool. We can go play miniature golf. Or you can set up a table and you can stand in front of some place like Whole Foods Market or Starbucks and you can take donations. And we can donate that to the Humane Society, specifically for the cats and dogs in New Orleans. And she was like, yeah, I want to do that. This is awesome. You can't stand in front of Starbucks and panhandle. You cannot raise money for a charity in front of Starbucks. It's their corporate rule. Let's see some fucker say no to a half a dozen really cute little 12-year-old girls on a mission. He didn't have a fucking chance. He didn't have a chance. He was like, well, girls, the corporate rule. And they were like, please. And he was like, yeah, okay. You know what? Yeah, it doesn't, go ahead. I mean, he folded like a cheap fucking card table with me on it. No chance. They raised $189 by standing in the sun in August in Arizona instead of going and partying. And do you know that all of those girls were so excited? And I said to them afterwards, I was like, girls, you all look bright red and you look hot and tired. And would you have rather gone and played miniature golf? And they were like, no, And I said, so you guys are happy? They were like, yeah. And I said, okay, you just saved potentially hundreds of dogs and cats. You realize that? They lost their fucking minds. They were so excited. So then I decided, okay, look, I really want this to be like, I want this to be a lesson that my daughter doesn't ever forget. So I called the news guys that did come out and I said, listen, when you guys left, my daughter was crying and this is why. And this is what she did. And they were like, you're kidding. And I said, no. And they were like, we'll be there in an hour. They came back and they interviewed her. How awesome is that? So she and all of her friends got together to watch the second news story about them. How cool is that? Needless to say, when I told my daughter that it was time for her to fly an airplane and she was 8, she was like, you sure I can do that? And I said, you can do anything that anybody else can do, period. Like there's no such thing as I can't. She was like, okay, let's go. We went to the airport, and a buddy of mine's flight instructor, and I said, hey man, what are the odds of you letting her, take off and land? And he was like, well, it depends on, if she's calm, if she's proficient, then yeah, I'll definitely let her take off and I might let her land too. And he said, you're going to be able to handle this? And she was like, yep. So she flew an airplane at 8 years old. That's the kind of shit that you have to do. Now, here's my point. If you feel like you're worthless, like she felt that day, like she's just a little girl, what can she do? Let's say that you're just a fat middle-aged guy, and look, I was 328 pounds not too long ago. I was a fat middle-aged guy. I might be big, but I was still fat, I was a fat middle-aged guy. And it's like, all right, what can you do? Well, shit, you can start a TikTok channel and talk about what you really think is important in life. You can get some backpacks off of what's that cheap site? Not Temu. Oh damn, I bought a ton of backpacks. What's it called? Alibaba. I bought exactly. Heathen's on it. I bought hundreds of backpacks from Alibaba. Let me see something. Let me see if they're in my office. They might be right here. And if they're in my office, where are they? If they're in my office, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Son of a bitch. Where are they? Organization is the keynote to success. The more organized you are, the better your odds of succeeding at anything in life. That's what smart people say anyway. I think I wasn't really paying attention to them when they were talking. I was probably looking for something that I'd lost in my own house. Like like 100 backpacks. How do you lose 100 backpacks? I just had them the other day. I just took, that's right. I took one out and I gave it to my son for some video stuff that he had, and he didn't have anything to carry it in. Anyway, so I bought a couple hundred of these things. They're brilliant colors, bright orange, like day glow orange, and bright blue. And me and my buddies just got together and we stuffed a bunch of stuff in them, some socks, some toothpaste, toothbrushes, little travel size toothpaste, toothbrushes. What else did we put in there? I put P38. For those of you who don't know, that is a P38. I think the bigger ones are called a P51, which is funny because a P38 Lightning is a really cool World War II airplane, and a P51 is a Mustang. It's also a very cool World War II airplane. So maybe these P38s were named in honor of them. This one doesn't say. This is actually a legit one. This one's actually legit from the Marine Corps. I've got about 500 more of them. I had to buy a case, so I think a case was like $1,000. And and I bought Mylar blankets. The Mylar blankets, if you buy them in bulk, are only like 20 cents a piece. Survival idiots, they sell them for $5. This is a survival blanket. No, it's a fucking Mylar blanket. It's like any other. And so we put together these backpacks and we went downtown with a pickup truck bed full of them, and we just passed them out to people who looked like they needed them. And of course, I went straight to the VA hospital. I went in and I said, "Hey, does anybody in here know where more of most of the VA homeless guys hang out?" And they were like, "Yeah, that guy would know." And they pointed to a homeless guy. And I said, "Hey, man, where can I find the homeless guys?" And he was like, "Why?" And I showed him one of the backpacks. I said, "I'm a veteran, and I was lucky. Got all my fingers, all my toes. I'd like to help you guys out if I can. So, I made these backpacks for you guys." And he was like, it was weird. He just stared at me for a second. He was like, "Really? You did that for us?" I said, "Yeah, of course. Hey, man, we're veterans. We're brothers." And he was like, "Okay, well, I'll tell you where we hide." What the fuck? Are you fucking kidding me? Veterans are hiding? Yeah, they're hiding from the police because they're fucking bums. That's the way the civilians look at it. They're just a bunch of fucking bums. Yeah, okay. So yeah, they defended our country and they might have PTSD and they fucking can't get a good night's sleep because, they have nightmares every night about shit they did, but they're just bums. That pissed me off. And I said to him, "Look, man, I want to help." And he said, "Okay, great. Well, yeah, there's I forget what fast food place, like a Jack in the Box." And he goes, there's a bunch of garbage bins back there, the big ones. And I said, "Yeah, the dumpsters." And he goes, "Yeah." And he said, "But they only have one dumpster. There's room for like 6 or 7." He goes, "Because they've got gates, we hide back there because you can't see us from the alley." And I said, "How many people?" And he was like, "Well, there's probably like 20 or 25 guys back there right now." And I was like, "Okay, well, that's a good start." So I went there and I handed a bunch out. And then I went to the park across the street and there was a bunch of guys out there, And it's funny too, because, they don't want to take the backpacks. They don't want them. They'll take them if you explain that they're doing me a favor. Like they're helping me because I want to do this. And I really want to do this. I got to give back. Otherwise I just can't sleep at night. When you put it that way, they're like, "Okay, I'll take one." But this was so fucking shocking to me. You can't even imagine this until you're in this situation and you see it with your own eyes. This sums up veterans. None of them wanted it. They all wanted me to give the backpack to somebody who really needed it. These fucking guys have no teeth. Some of them have open sores all over their fucking body from Agent Orange or whatever. They didn't want the backpacks. They said, no, that's too much. I don't need that. You give that to somebody who really needs it. I was like, "Brother, I got so goddamn many of these things. I don't know what to do with them. If you don't take this, I'm going to look like an idiot. When I get home, my wife's going to be like, 'What'd you do all day? Did you go play golf?' You still got them all. So do me a favor, take this." And they'd be like, "Well, you got a lot of them?" And I go, "I got tons. I got hundreds of them. So, do me a favor, take this one." And they'd be like, "Well, okay." I had to fucking talk homeless guys into taking them because they were more worried about somebody else needing them than they needed them. They're living in fucking Phoenix. It's the middle of winter. There's no place for them to go. You can't go to the homeless shelters. They are absolutely deadly because they're run by illegal immigrants who will kill you if they see that you have something they want. So God forbid you show up with 4 brand new pairs of white sweat socks. Where'd you get those? Give them to me, And look, these guys are veterans. They're warriors. But a lot of them can barely walk. They can't defend themselves. So they're easy game. And believe me, I talked to a lot of them and I was like, "Look, there's a home down the street that you're allowed to stay at?" And they were like, "Oh, no, I can't go there. Oh, no. They'll take everything." And after I heard this from all of these guys, they all had the same story. No, dude, I'm much safer sleeping behind this dumpster." It's like, okay. So when people see me get a little bit spicy about the idea of sending $200 billion to Ukraine or spending $60 billion to help Israel. Yeah, like the best among us are the ones who are willing to lay their lives down to defend us. Now, granted, some of them go in there for ulterior motives. Some of them go in because they're in trouble with the law. Some go in because they're stupid and they can't figure out what to do with their life. Some are idealistic, naive goobers like me who think that they're going to, represent justice, worldwide or whatever. But the bottom line is they all did it. They all signed the contract. They all showed up. They went through boot camp. They served the country. And then the country turned its back on them and treated them like outcasts. In what universe can we let that stand? Like, in what universe can you sleep at night knowing that that is going on every day? Like, yeah, I get it. There are people who protest for their rights all the time. Okay, well, yeah, I guess we all have rights, but can we at least acknowledge that the people who have worked the hardest and risked the most for us are getting screwed probably worse than anyone else? That's, can't live with that one. Not going to happen. So I have a reason to live. I have a reason to survive. I have a reason to thrive because I want to share my wealth with them. So I don't ever look in the mirror and go, God, my life is meaningless. Never. That never happens to me. I do look in the mirror and I'm stunned at my roguish good looks sometimes. Why? Why did God do this to me? Like, I'm not just a pretty face. I have a brain. But I get over that. I moved past that pretty quickly back into I'm literally out of my mind and I got to go study econ. That'll bring you down fast. Let me tell you something, brother. You on a natural high? Study econ. All right, you understand, Chris. Yep. And Chris, that the people who are civilians who may not understand what I'm saying is true. It's true. Well, with a girlish figure now, thanks to Heathen. Thanks to this guy right here, he gave me some great advice for my diet. Basically, stop eating shit. I don't think that's exactly how you put it, Heathen, but it was something along those lines. It was like, don't eat carbs. And I went, yeah, I could probably fit that into my intermittent fasting. And he said, you don't have to intermittent fast. He lost 70 pounds. People thought he had cancer because he lost weight so fast because he just stopped eating carbs. And he finally had to start eating them again because he got to the point where it's like, I lost 70 pounds and I'm not 6'7". Like, I was starting to look skinny. Everything was, all my clothes were baggy and people thought I was sick, which is awesome. That's okay. My goal was to lose. Initially it was, 330 to 260. So 70 pounds also. And I'm getting there. I have a funny feeling when I step on the scale tomorrow, it's going to be right around 280. And then I'm going to have a donut. No, I'm not. I'm just kidding. No. Can you have Splenda in your coffee? Yes. Yes, you can. The poison creamer, things went very well today. I know that when I get on the scale tomorrow, I'm going to be feeling good. 180 proof moonshine will definitely clear out your system. No question. Wait, well, there was, I got distracted by a shiny object. Oh yeah. That the no sugar creamer, that's only got a few grams of carbs in it. So you can have a few splashes of that or definitely Splenda. Although Splenda, that's aspartame. No, it's sucralose. It's aspartame. I don't remember. Anyway, it's all poison. Who gives a shit? I'm only poisoning myself for the next 60 days, maybe less. When I hit 260, like 260, 265, monk fruit, yeah, you can do that, or stevia, yeah, that's good too. When I hit between 260 and 265, right in that area, basically no more than the upper limit of the UFC for fighting. Like, I don't want to be heavier than a heavyweight. And at that point, I'm going to eat the biggest fucking pizza I've ever seen in my life. And it's going to have lots of pepperoni and lots of pizza sauce and extra cheese. Basically, it's going to be a pizza inside of a pizza inside of a pizza. And I'm going to eat it all. Stay away from aspartame. Oh, come on. Why stay away from aspartame? You don't have to worry about aspartame. Look, when aspartame, the only time you have to worry about aspartame is if it heats up above 84.5 degrees Fahrenheit. Once it gets above 84.5 degrees Fahrenheit, it breaks down into its base chemicals, one of which is formaldehyde, which attacks your, and phenylketones. The formaldehyde is a carcinogenic substance, and then the phenylketones attack your optic nerve and your thyroid, making you fat. So the more Diet Coke you drink, the fatter you get. But other than that, and oh, by the way, it's got to be above 84 degrees. And think about it. What's the human body at? It's like 82, right? So don't fucking sweat it. Have as much aspartame as you want. Yeah, I do that sometimes. Give me a call when your live is over. You got it. Absolutely. Oh, speaking of which, when my live is over, I went live at 7. I actually started just about on time. It was like 7:04, which is wild because you know me. I always start exactly on time-ish. Wow. I've got people on YouTube. This is exciting as hell. Let's see. Stacking silver for a year. Okay, Brandon, you're probably gone. You probably went to bed or whatever. Blue Mustang trunk loaded with silver. Yes, that blue Mustang is something else, man. Oh, by the way, the blue Mustang he's referring to is on my YouTube channel. It was my race car, a GT1 race car, 1967 Mustang. It was not street legal. I drove it on the street a couple of times. This is for fun, just around the block. All my neighbors loved me. That was when I lived in the Phoenix neighborhood. It was all Mexican, coolest people ever. It was so much fun. As long as you can put up the oompa 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 music all night, because on Friday night, baby, they're partying, they're celebrating, and if you want to go over and hang out with them, then the music just sort of disappears in the background because there's so much to eat and beer and everything. It's awesome. Good night, Carolyn. How much can you get for 5K? Actually, quite a bit. Probably about somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 ounces, which, look, it's 5K now. But remember what I said earlier, like it's poised to literally double probably in the next 4 or 5 months. So, okay, beginning of next year, it's 10K, not 5K. Not bad. And with all of the insanity going on, it could easily be a lot more than that by the end of next year. That's just a fact. It could be, you could have a lot. I know. What is the Oompa Oompa? That's the Mexican music. Do I deliver? Absolutely. As long as it's a very large order. One of you that's on here now who will remain nameless, don't identify yourself, but he's on here, is buying probably 25,000 ounces. And I will be delivering 25,000 ounces to his house. Is that silver you're talking about? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, gold's going to do well, but silver's going to do much better, especially now that gold has gone up and silver's still down here. It will always go higher. It always has. If for all of literally for the last 150 years, that's been the way it works. Whatever silver, how much is that? How much is 25,000 ounces of silver? It's a lot. Enough to buy a dinner for sure. Where can I buy silver around Montreal, Canada? Yes, I do sell silver. My number is in my bio. You can just shoot me a text, and I'll hook you up. Where can you buy it in Montreal? It's a good question. I don't really know. I'm not entirely sure you're allowed to buy it from me, but I think you can. I think you're allowed to. And there's a value-added tax if I send it as silver. Which, by the way, only an idiot, like an imbecile, marks silver on the outside of a package and sends it through the U.S. Post Office. I always mark it the same way. Everybody marks everything. Ball bearings, washers, brake pads, ceramic, handled with care. that sort of thing. And we all do it. So it's kind of like an inside joke in the industry. You don't, what's the VAT? How much? I don't know. Because I have this thing. I'm allergic to paying value added taxes in Canada. I actually break out in anger all over my forehead. So I would not pay it. I would just send it to you. And if they ask for a value added tax, then good. Don't they scan packages? Yeah, absolutely. They scan them with nitrate detectors. Luckily, there's no nitrate in silver. None whatsoever. Nitrates are, by the way, what we make bombs out of. If there's no nitrates, the odds of it being a bomb are just about zero. So that's all they really look for, which is awesome. On YouTube, Pat says, I feel that they'll just make it a long-term rental, like a rental house. Oh, he's talking about the Airbnb disaster that's starting to unfold. Yes and no. I mean, it depends. Look at Arizona, look at Florida, look at all of the leading indicators of oh shit, and they all say the same thing. Rents are coming down. Rents are dropping. All around Phoenix, the rents are going down, not up. And that's because the Arizona Realtor Association 3 weeks ago announced officially it is now a buyer's market, not a seller's market. Now that the Airbnbs coming on the market, as well as all of the people who are being laid off nationwide, I mean, you're talking about potentially not just hundreds of thousands of homes, you're talking about millions of homes. There are 2.2 million, 2.25 million Airbnbs in this country. Okay, how many people have lost their job? Well, I can tell you that 1.3 million native-born workers have lost their job in the last 4 years. Now, 3.2 million illegal immigrants have gotten jobs. So that's why we still see job growth. But job growth in terms of people born in this country, there's been absolutely zero. If you go look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics or check with the St. Louis Federal Reserve website, they show that you need to put on 140,000 jobs a month just to stay even with the amount of people coming out of high school and college. Well, we have a problem. Houston, we have a fucking problem. So, well, Ray, if you want more, baby, you send me a text. Been trying to get on hold for a bit, trying to get more. Yeah, just send me a text in the morning and I will absolutely call you back. I actually shit. To say I have like 150 ounces sitting on my desk, but I just realized I just sold that to somebody. Damn. Well, we'll see. Well, I'm going to call them in the morning and see how long it's going to take them, etc. If it's one of those things where they're thinking about it, then that's different. Well, it's not even that, Rodney. It's not that our people don't want jobs. It's that if you can hire an illegal immigrant to do the job for 50% less, labor's the number one input cost to any business. Energy is number two. So if you can cut the number one input cost to your business by 50%, just in order to survive as a company, you're going to do that. Well, as I said earlier, how can these people work for half price? Because you are paying for their hotel, you're paying for their cell phone, you're paying for their food benefits, you're paying for their health insurance, you're paying for everything. You, my friend, are paying for their gender reassignments. That's not a joke. And trust me, I don't find any fucking humor in that at all. We have a lot in common: mini banks and demolition. Well, I like you already. Then that's crazy. So we're in a situation where we're really things are very interesting, and they're going to get more interesting. I see an absolutely perfectly clear path to victory for Kamala Harris. I don't see a clear path to victory for Donald Trump, but I do see one for Kamala Harris. She takes over if Joe Biden steps down in the next couple of weeks and says it's for health issues. And she steps in. Now she is the commander in chief. We just sent a huge amount of troops to the Middle East so that we can get into the Third World War. And once we get into that war, once the bombs start, once a few thousand American troops are killed in a mass attack that we were unprepared for, the American people will be so fucking furious that they will never even consider swapping out commander-in-chiefs. That we never do, even during the Civil War. Lincoln was absolutely sure he would lose the election, but he won. Why? Because we don't change, horses in mid-stride. We don't do that. So if she's the commander-in-chief when this massive attack happens, and by the way, the government just happens to be getting ready for a mass casualty attack. They don't say what it is. They say that it's just, they're just doing drills. But then again, they said they were just doing drills on 9/11, didn't they? That's why the Air Force and the Marine Corps and the Navy had no airplanes to put in the air, because they were all on the other side of the country participating in war games that involved airliners flying into big buildings. That's a hell of a coincidence, but it is just a coincidence. Unless, of course, you're one of those conspiracy people. Who's going to win? Oh, obviously Kamala. You can't let Trump back into the White House. Can't do it. He knows where all the bodies are buried. He knows what they did to him last time. He knows the names. How do you think? How would Tony Fauci fare if Trump became president? After Fauci lied right to the president of the United States' face, said things that were absolutely, provably untrue. Now, they weren't provably untrue then, but now that we have his emails, we can see that they are demonstrably false. And he knew it, and he looked the president of the fucking United States of America in the eye and lied. You got to have some big brass ones to do that. But he did, and he got away with it. Unless, of course, Trump becomes president again. And then we kind of reopen that and sort of dig through it to see what's going on. It doesn't even have to be rigged. See, that's the thing. That's the sad part. It doesn't have to be rigged. Look, all you have to do is make sure that she's commander-in-chief when this mass attack happens, which you could do, Mark Milley. Ugh. You could literally make her commander-in-chief in the next few days. Like, there's any day now, Biden can say, look, for health reasons, I've gone as far as I can, and I feel like if I serve the last few months, I won't be at 100% like I have been the entire time. And because of that, I want to step aside. Okay. Well, then now she's commander-in-chief. And then when the mass casualty attack happens, the commander-in-chief says, we will not allow this to happen. We will not allow this. But look, we're gonna find those responsible. I'm a prosecutor. I've prosecuted people before. I'm going to prosecute whoever is responsible for this attack. Does that sound like something you might hear Kamala Harris say as president? Well, feisty girl, I disagree with you there. I don't think that Obama is any more the head of the snake than Biden was. Look, they're all puppets. The people who really run what's going on, they don't want their names in the headlines. They don't want their name in lights. They don't give a shit about fame. They run the world. Why would you care if anybody knew who you were? Oh my God, you gotta be shitting me. They just shut me down again. Unbelievable. All right, guys. Well, this is why I'm switching over to YouTube, because every time I say anything that's even slightly controversial, I don't agree with this decision. Notice is unclear. It does not contain the above mentioned. And then the last thing we can do is we can file an appeal. And hopefully, if they approve my appeal, they'll let me go back on tomorrow night. But that's the end of my live stream for tonight. God, I fucking hate these people. I just fucking hate how dishonest they are. Unbelievable. All right, well, let's see how well I did at least. All right, so it looks like I had 11,000 viewers. That's good. Here on YouTube, I had 1, 2, 3, 4. I had 4. Does it show that? Well, it shows 2 on and 2 that were here. I guess. All right. Well, yeah, I had. Doesn't show how many likes I had, but I had like 20,000 likes. That's good. The number of viewers, your team members. Oh, wait. Where are my old fart glasses? The number of viewers who were team members increased by 150% compared to the average of the last 30 days. Yeah, so things are starting to get really feisty here on TikTok for me. I'm getting lots and lots of people. I have let's see here. If I'm not mistaken, I had 605 comments. I love that. And then let's see on my profile. Wow. I have the same amount of followers I've had for a year and a half. They are definitely trying to sideline me there. All of the followers that I see clicking on it and saying follow, so-and-so followed your profile, it hasn't gone up at all. 118,700. Yeah, well, TikTok is a wholly owned subsidiary of politics now, and that sucks. But the good news is that you guys are actually on YouTube, and YouTube is a little bit more liberal with the way that they let things happen. And I don't mean liberal like Democrats. I mean like they actually liberate people. So I'll be on here every night, even if they don't give me my appeal and let me go back live tomorrow on TikTok. I'm still going live on YouTube, and I'm going to make videos and send people to YouTube. So hopefully we'll get some people on here, and it'll be fun, and we'll have the same kind of good time that we do on TikTok. And hell, maybe I'll stop using TikTok altogether soon. That would be great. All right, you guys have a great night.